More severe weather on the way. We'll tell you when. And a federal judge rules that executions will move forward in Oklahoma. What that means for high-profile cases. Plus, Facebook is in hot water. Find out why. This is OU Nightly. Thanks for joining us for OU Nightly. I'm Libbey Dean.
And I'm Ben Thomas. We begin tonight with a chance for severe weather in the next 48 hours.
Reece Cole has a first look at our forecast. Reece, it could get nasty tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow does have a chance for some potentially strong to severe storms, but we already had a cold front move through last night, and that was pretty much an appetizer for what we're going to be seeing tomorrow. You can see temperatures out in Tulsa, Muskogee, and up to the northeast in the 60s, finally feeling some fall air. But here in Norman, we're still 5 degrees above average for this time of year, and temperatures along the Red River are in the 80s, and that's because they had northerly winds come through with that cold front, southerly winds out to the Red River and into the Panhandle, and overall you can see those temperatures 16 degrees colder than we were yesterday there in Muskogee, just a couple degrees here in Norman. But what we're tracking with tomorrow, though, we are going to have a warm-up. Some of that prefrontal warming as well as a severe weather threat will break down all the potential with that, as well as that cool down coming, finally bringing us some fall air. Libbey and Ben, back to you.
Thanks, Reece. Breaking news, a high-profile federal hearing now. A federal judge says executions in Oklahoma will move forward this week.
The lawsuit was filed by 5 death row inmates here in the state. They claim that the method Oklahoma uses is inhumane and violates the 8th Amendment. OU Nightly's Kayla Davis has more from the federal courthouse in Oklahoma City.
Moments ago, a federal judge decided not to temporarily delay execution for 5 death row inmates, including Julius Jones. The lawyers for the inmates said they will appeal within the hour. The defense attorneys for the inmates filed a stay of execution to reinstate them in a lawsuit they were previously dismissed from. This lawsuit challenges Oklahoma's execution protocols after 2 botched executions in 2015. The inmates say the lethal injection violates the 8th Amendment of cruel and unusual punishment. This comes days before John Grant's lethal injection planned for Thursday, making it the first one in Oklahoma in more than 6 years. The stay of execution doesn't change the sentencing as a clemency hearing does. The clemency hearing for Julius Jones is scheduled for tomorrow. Reporting live from the courthouse, Kayla Davis, OU Nightly.
A stay of execution does not change the sentence as a clemency hearing does. The clemency hearing for Julius Jones is scheduled for tomorrow. At that clemency hearing, the Pardon and Parole Board decides on a recommendation for Jones. Jones was found guilty of the 1999 murder of Paul Howell in Edmond. It could be recommended that his sentence be changed from the death penalty to time served, to life in prison with or without parole, or another sentence of time. The governor makes the final decision on what happens next. OU Nightly will be at the clemency hearing tomorrow. Follow us on social media or join us tomorrow at 4:30 for the very latest.
The Oklahoma State Department of Health is showing a decrease in the daily number of new COVID cases. The department says there are just under 500 new cases today, with close to 7,000 active cases across the state. The CDC reports that around 11,000 Oklahomans have died due to COVID-19, and around 2 million people in the state are fully vaccinated.
Kids make up about a quarter of all COVID-19 cases in the U.S. And by the end of next week, millions of children between the ages of 5 to 11 could be eligible for a vaccine. The Pfizer shot would come in 2 doses and be a third of a normal dose. Pfizer says it's about 90% effective. However, some Norman parents are still hesitant on whether they would give their child the shot.
No, I definitely would not feel comfortable giving my child an untested vaccine on that age group, especially at that age. That age does not have the death rates that older Americans have.
The FDA's vaccine advisors are scheduled to meet tomorrow to make their recommendation. If authorized, distribution could start as early as November 4th.
Facebook finds its way back into the headlines, this time due to a controversial Facebook group. Catherine Liberta has that story and the rest of today's headlines from around the world.
Thanks, Ben. Sudan's Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok, his wife, and other senior government officials have been arrested in a military takeover. This comes after weeks of political unrest due to military and civilian groups sharing power in a fragile alliance, which was formed after the removal of former President Omar al-Bashir in 2019. The head of Sudan's armed forces has now dissolved the alliance and the transitional government and said a new government would take power until one is elected in 2023. Those opposed to the coup have taken to the streets to protest and have been faced with gunfire. U.S. Customs and Border Protection found 60 employees committed misconduct violations after looking into a controversial Facebook group. The group called I'm 1015 contained vulgar and offensive posts. The CBP Discipline Review Board recommended the removal of 24 agents. However, only 2 employees were removed. Facebook refused to provide CBP's Office of Professional Responsibility with content from the secret group, limiting the investigation. And a private school in Florida has reversed its stance on COVID-19 vaccines. The Center Academy in Miami came under fire after asking parents to keep their children home for 30 days if their child received a COVID-19 vaccine dose. In April, the Academy urged its employees to not get the vaccine until the end of the school year, but it warned them if they did, they would not be allowed to return next year. After an investigation by the State Department of Education, the school has now reversed its policy. And Austria's federal government has drafted a law to make assisted suicide for seriously ill adults legal. The patient would have to consult 2 doctors in order to get approved. Libby and Ben, back to you.
If you enjoy getting your fresh produce from the Norman Farm Market, you only have 1 week left to enjoy this Cleveland County favorite. See how they have been supplied and what's up next for the market.
Plus, Halloween prices may haunt you and spook your bank account. Find out what you should be prepared for this Halloween weekend.
Could soon allow Tesla rentals, and Halloween could see a skyrocket in spending. Roddy has those stories and more in Money Matters.
Hertz, a well-known car rental company, purchased 100,000 Teslas. After emerging from bankruptcy back in June, the company has used $1.2 billion on credit lines and $1.8 billion in unrestricted cash to purchase the largest Tesla order ever. This is a significant step for Tesla, who has a goal of an annual 50% increase in sales. Hertz did not disclose the total amount spent, but one Model 3 Tesla is $40,000, which could make this total sale over $4 billion. And the recent increase of oil prices have hit a new milestone today. Crude oil has surpassed $85 a barrel for the first time in 7 years. U.S. oil has jumped 1.2% today and more than 13% just this month. The price of oil is now up 120% from last year. Natural gas, coal, and crude oil prices have been rising and in turn raising the cost of living for Americans. And don't be surprised if you end up spending extra on Halloween this year. Americans are expected to spend a record of $10 billion. Cost of candy, decorations, and costumes have risen exponentially due to supply chain issues and inflation. And Halloween isn't the only thing being affected. Some of your favorite companies like Nestle, Dove, Coca-Cola, Starbucks, and Microsoft are all raising their prices for the same reasons. And the new movie Dune, starring Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya, took in over $40 million in ticket sales this past weekend, which makes it the largest opening in Warner Bros. History. That's all for me. Back to you.
Each week at the Cleveland County Fairgrounds, the Norman Farm Market brings the community together through good food and good people. OU Nightly's Hannah Gard has the story.
60 miles away from Norman, in a quiet spot off Highway 9, Joe and Mary Jacobs spend their days growing organic fruits and vegetables.
We've always liked the garden. We've had a garden ever since we got married.
The Jacobs have been farming for as long as they can remember, moving from Iowa to New York to Texas, finally resting in Oklahoma at the Highway 9 produce stand. They've been bringing fresh fruits and veggies to the Norman Market for the last 4 years.
We like the idea that it was inside and you could leave your things set up and just bring your vegetables and it was a lot easier.
Market organizer Kate Cooper started working for the event in the midst of COVID and says she's seen more and more people come in to shop local.
Farmers markets are really a place for communities to come together. I think that every community should be supported by a group of small farms, or if it's a small community, 1 or 2 small farms.
The Norman Farm Market is the oldest farmers market in the state of Oklahoma, supporting the community since 1980.
There's several vendors that have been here for longer than I have been alive.
Farms like the Jacobs are bringing organic produce to the table in Norman.
Being a farmer doesn't make a lot of money when you do it this way. They're doing it because they love it.
Rana Bigdali teaches people at the market how to use the fresh produce to make homemade farm-to-table meals.
You know, we want to combat obesity, and one of the ways to do that is to teach Okies like how to eat vegetables that aren't in a can, So because that's, it's casserole culture around here.
The Norman Market ends the last weekend of October, but fresh food is available year-round. The Jacobs sell their produce online during the winter.
They come in because of the way the stuff tastes. It's everything's got a better flavor when it's fresh.
Hannah Gard, OU Nightly.
This is the market's last season at the Cleveland County Fairgrounds before it moves to the Well, located at 200 James Garner. Construction around Norman continues as more street work is underway. Find out where it is so you can avoid it as you drive around Norman when we return.
And Reece, it's looking like a beautiful day in Norman today, but some severe weather may be on the way. What can we expect?
Yeah, we got a beautiful day today and tomorrow, but tomorrow night rain comes in. We'll talk about the severe weather potential coming up in just a few minutes. We're having a lovely day out there today. We have just a few high wispy clouds, but overall a beautiful sunny day after a cold front came through last night, bringing us northerly winds and some closer to seasonal temperatures. Right now we're sitting in the mid 70s with, again, just a few passing high clouds. The dew point's nice and dry, and the winds southeast starting to transition back out of the south, bringing us warmer weather tomorrow. I want to take a look at the storm system that did come through yesterday off into the Midwest, now headed off to the northeast. That one produced an EF3 tornado in southeast Missouri. That's just preliminary reports as they go out there for it. Thankfully, we missed most of that. But this is that second storm system that's going to start to push its way down into our area come tomorrow night. You can see there's a prefrontal warming ahead of a warm front with this and a cold front. Now this is going to turn into its own pressure system as it makes its way into our area, and that's going to bring lots cooler temperatures and some chance for severe weather with some rain associated ahead of this cold front. Now as we go throughout Wednesday night and even into Thursday, that cool weather is going to be sticking around with us, bringing us finally some fall-like weather. We've been well above average for this time of year. Right now though, this is that severe weather outlook tomorrow night. The threats are going to be an isolated tornado, cannot be ruled out, quarter-size hail possibly, as well as 65 to even 70 mile-per-hour wind gusts, especially associated in this region. That's where you're going to have the highest probability to see some severe weather. So let's time this out. 7:41 p.m. This is at least 7:30 to 8 p.m. That's when we're going to start to see the showers and storms pop up. It's going to start to make its way into the metro region by about midnight. These, again, this line of storms could be strong to severe, but then that's going to begin to push off into the east. But that could be around us early into the morning hours, and it could be at the Arkansas border as well by Wednesday night. And that's going to begin to circulate, leaving us with some precipitation Wednesday night and maybe early hours on Thursday. Here's the future rainfall for us as we go throughout the next couple of days as well. We could see upwards of 1 inch to 1.5 inches in some regions. The metro and off to the northwest, though, going to be a little bit cooler. As for right now, temperatures, the winds are just some high clouds coming in. Lows tonight, though, going to be well above average for this time of year, upwards of 8 to 10 degrees above average. Norman, 54 degrees. Miami, just about average, though, in the low 40s. But for our day planner tomorrow, it's going to be a lovely day, at least until about 8 p.m. Just mostly cloudy skies, but most of those clouds are going to be higher clouds. Temperatures topping out in the lower 80s, about 10 degrees above average for this time of year. And for that 7-day outlook, there's that rain chances right there, 40% Wednesday morning, and on into Thursday, it's going to clear out seasonal average temperatures, and by Sunday, 70. Beautiful weather for Halloween. Libby and Ben, back to you.
And Norman Street is closed due to a sewer line replacement that starts today. Webster Avenue between Gray Street and Tunhawash Street will be closed until November 3rd. 2 barricades located on Gray and Tunhawash Street will detour traffic to University Boulevard. Visit normanok.gov for more updates on future changes.
The Sooners improved to 8-0, but barely made it out of Lawrence, Kansas alive. Not how they expected it, right, Ashley?
That's right, Ben. The Sooners did squeak by with that win up in Lawrence, while some other former Sooners showed off in the NFL. I'm going to tell you all about it when OU Nightly returns. Sports is next. Velde, and it's time to talk sports. The Sooners barely made it out of Kansas with the dub down 10-0 at half, but Caleb Williams saved the day once again. OU was ahead 28-23 in the fourth when QB1 stripped the ball from Kennedy Brooks on a 4th and 1 near midfield to keep the OU drive alive. The Crimson held on 35-23, but the close game proved a poor effort for the Sooners.
Proud of the win and our fight in the second half. Not excited about how we played in the first half. Just really poor football in the first half all the way around. The penalties especially showed up. A lot of long drives that we couldn't get Kansas off the field, and a lot of that because of penalties.
You know, I don't really have an excuse. You know, we just came out kind of lackadaisical, and that's something that I'm going to address as a captain next week. So no excuses. It's just kind of happened.
A ton of resiliency to bounce back. Again, that's, you know, people think that's just going to happen. That ain't easy. I mean, I don't care who you're playing, where you're playing. If you're not playing well or you're getting beat, to be able to flip it is not easy, and especially not easy on the road. So again, I love the way we finish, and damn, if we'll ever figure out how to play a complete game combined with the way this team can finish, we could have something. But that's it's going to be on us and how bad that we want to become that complete team, because the way we finish is elite. But we got to, you know, we're going to have to bring the rest of it around here pretty quick.
And tossing to some NFL action, the Bengals toppled the Ravens 41-17, snapping a 5-game losing streak. The star plays came from a couple past Sooners, including Hollywood Brown, who just got his foot down in the end zone to give the Ravens the only lead of the game in the third quarter, 17-13. But the Bengals' Joe Mixon added a late TD on this 21-yard run that made it 34-17. The Bengals have the best record in the AFC. And as the college football coaching carousel begins to turn, Matt Wells was let go today in his 3rd season with Texas Tech. Offensive coordinator Sonny Cumbie will step in as interim. The Red Raiders travel to Norman to face the Sooners on Saturday. And kicking it over to some Sooners soccer, the ladies beat Iowa State 1-0 yesterday in pouring rain and wind. And the win means their ticket is officially punched for the Big 12 tournament beginning on Halloween. And top-ranked OU men's golf begins the East Lake Cup today in Atlanta, facing the nation's best teams. The Cup continues through Wednesday and finishes off the men's fall season. Meanwhile, women's golf also concludes their fall schedule at the Old Stone Invitational in Bowling Green, Kentucky, which carries through from today to tomorrow. And the Oklahoma City Thunder are off to an 0-3 start on the young season. The Thunder are at home this week, facing the Warriors on Tuesday and the Lakers on Wednesday. I hope the Thunder get their first win of the season this week, but with their recent track record, I am not so confident. Libbey, Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, I got to agree. With all those rookies in the rebuild mode, you know what they made? They don't need to win. They don't need to win right now. It's okay. I think they'll be fine.
I'll take your word for it. Picasso's artwork can be found all over the world.
And one famous Las Vegas hotel auctioned off 11 of his renowned pieces. Straight ahead on OU Nightly.
Amaya Award at the OU Nightly Update Desk. 6 people, including a police officer, have been shot and injured at a mall in Boise, Idaho. The Boise Police Department says 1 person is in custody and they have no further information of additional threats at this time. That's all for now. Back to you at the studio.
The Bellagio Hotel's famous Picasso restaurant has auctioned off more than $110 million worth of legendary artists' works.
Marking Picasso's 140th birthday, 11 of the master's works were sold to the highest bidder. Many went well above their highest estimated valuations, and a spokesperson from MGM, which owns Bellagio, says 12 other Picasso artworks will replace the auction pieces.
Hey, Reece, one final look at that possible severe weather on the way?
Yes, we are looking at the severe weather outlook for tomorrow night. You can see we are in an enhanced risk right now for central and western central Oklahoma. That includes isolated tornadoes not to be ruled out, quarter-size hail, and potentially 65 to 70 mile-per-hour wind gusts. Now, as for the 7-day forecast, this isn't any Picasso, but tomorrow going to be nice and warm, 80 degrees. Wednesday, that's when that cold front comes through with those rain chances and severe weather in the morning. But heading into Thursday and Friday looks nice and pleasant, and Halloween, 70 degrees and sunshine. Libby and Ben, looks like perfect to go out and trick or treat.
I'm looking forward to it. Well, thank you for joining us for OU Nightly. We're live every weekday from Gaylord Hall on the campus of the University of Oklahoma.
We'll see you right back here tomorrow night, live at 4:30. Good night.
Night.